The recent 10% tariff the United States has imposed on British goods is not just a simple economic adjustment. It's a blatant display of the global power dynamics at play. This move, which comes with a 20% tariff on European Union goods, reveals more about the current state of international relations than most politicians are willing to acknowledge. It's a wake-up call, a stark reminder that the idea of special relationships in the political and economic world is often little more than a convenient myth. The UK government must face an uncomfortable truth. When it comes to the global stage, Britain is being played. First and foremost, let's be clear about what these tariffs represent. They are not some technical negotiation based on long-standing diplomatic efforts. Rather, they are a reflection of the United States flexing its muscle and using tariffs as a blunt instrument of leverage. The 10% tariff on the UK is positioned as a small win for the current government. But let's be honest, it's the bare minimum. Why? Because it wasn't earned through skillful diplomacy or strategic trade negotiations. It was simply calculated based on the UK's relatively modest trade deficit with the United States, placed in the same category as countries with far more pressing economic concerns. This is not a victory. This is a consequence of the UK's disjointed and often incoherent approach to its post-Brexit global ambitions. There is no denying the detrimental effects these tariffs will have on specific industries. Scottish salmon, for instance, will be hit hard, alongside the beloved Scotch whisky industry. These tariffs won't just affect the businesses involved. They will send ripples through the wider economy. The impact on exports will be felt across the UK, particularly in those regions that depend heavily on international trade. This should have been anticipated and, frankly, avoided. Yet, here we are, with a government that can't even answer the basic question of where this 10% tariff comes from, much less defend its handling of the situation. It's time to face facts. The British government has failed to navigate its post-Brexit relationships effectively. While Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's calm and measured rhetoric is commendable in theory, it is fast becoming a weak defense against the very real economic fallout that looms large. His attempts to diffuse tensions with the United States, even as Donald Trump plays his games, are an exercise in futility. The truth is that diplomacy is being sacrificed on the altar of political survival. If the UK cannot stand up for itself in negotiations with the US, how can it hope to assert itself on the global stage? What is even more concerning is the way the government has allowed itself to be boxed into a corner when it comes to its relationship with the European Union. The tariffs on EU goods are even higher than those imposed on the UK, yet our response has been weak at best. To claim that this is a Brexit dividend, as some are trying to argue, is nothing short of a delusion. Brexit may have delivered some independence in terms of trade policy, but it has also isolated the UK from key trading partners, leaving it vulnerable to punitive measures like these. If the government truly believed in the power of sovereignty post-Brexit, it would be demanding better terms for the UK in every trade negotiation. Instead, we find ourselves at the mercy of the very nations we once claimed to outmaneuver. But perhaps what is most frustrating about this entire situation is the persistent refusal to engage in honest conversations about the implications of these tariffs. The UK government continues to play the diplomatic game, issuing platitudes about protecting British interests while failing to offer any concrete solutions. There are no meaningful discussions on how to mitigate the negative economic consequences of these tariffs, no plan to protect industries that are now at risk. The government must acknowledge that these tariffs are not just a passing inconvenience. They are a stark reflection of the UK's weakened position on the global stage. It is clear that the UK must take a more assertive stance in future trade negotiations. The government cannot continue to rely on the rhetoric of historic relationships and vague promises of future prosperity. The reality is simple. The UK is no longer the economic powerhouse it once was. The days of relying on its special relationship with the United States are over. The government must be proactive, strategic, and aggressive in its pursuit of trade deals that truly benefit the nation, not just the narrow interests of a few. The tariff situation should be a wake-up call for those in power. It's time to stop pretending that the current approach to global trade is working. The UK needs to wake up and take control of its economic destiny. No more weak compromises, no more avoidance of tough decisions. The government needs to be tough, assertive, and unapologetic in protecting the interests of its people. Anything less is simply a failure.